Hello best learners, this is Mustafa here at Learn with Best, and today we're going to be looking at Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. Law number 4, always say less than necessary. First, I'm going to define the law for you, and then we'll go over a short story from my life, followed by a hilarious example from the book, and then we'll finish with how you can implement this law into your own life for attaining maximum power. Here's the law. When you're trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear, and the less in control. Even if you're saying something simple or boring, it will seem original if you make it vague and open-ended. Powerful people impress and intimidate by saying less. Remember, the more you say, the more likely you are to say something foolish. So once upon a time, I had a friend who was a rock star. He was a part of a small band that would open for bigger bands at concerts. He was a lead singer and an amazing guitarist. From the outside, he was almost perfect. He was tall, good-looking, and in pretty good shape. But the most important thing about him was that he was following his passion while making a decent living. And of course, all of these are qualities that women love. Well, we were good friends for about 3 years, but then he cut all ties with me, and I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. And the title of this video is Always Say Less Than Necessary, so I'm sure you can guess kind of where this is going, right? So anyway, when I went to one of his shows, I met his girlfriend for the first time, and man, oh man, she was not at all what I was expecting. I'm over here thinking like this guy is a good-looking rock star and he's probably got dozens of women fawning all over him, and so if he's finally settled with a girlfriend, then she must be something really special. Well, when I finally met this special girl, she was all sorts of wrong. She was about 6 years older than him, short girl, about 5'2", and she looked to be about 200 pounds. But the absolute worst thing about her was that she would keep putting him down. She would talk smack about him as if he weren't there, but he was right there, right? He was present while his girlfriend was talking smack about him in front of the entire group, and he wouldn't say a word back to her. So he was making all the bank for them, and she was basically sitting at home doing nothing and verbally abusing him. So anyway, one day, we've been friends for like 3 years at this point, and he tells me that he's going to get married to her. He's just going on like, yeah man, we've been together for X amount of years and I don't want to let her go and she's just so darn amazing and blah blah blah. So I was thinking, should I keep my mouth shut or should I gently advise him not to make the biggest mistake of his life? I remember thinking at the time that if I say something to him, there's probably a big chance that this is the last time that I'm ever going to see my friend again. Because, he was just so in it. Sometimes when you're in such a bad relationship, you play all these mind games and perform all sorts of mental gymnastics to make yourself think that everything is okay, even though in reality it's not. And everyone can see it, everyone except for you. So I wanted to be the best friend that I possibly could, and I told him that I did not think it was a good idea to marry her and that he should take some time and think about it instead. Well, he did not take it too well, just as I had foreseen, and unfortunately I never heard from him again. I'm sure what happened is that he told her what I had said, and she most likely forbade him from ever speaking to me again, because he was the type of guy that needed to ask his girlfriend for approval for everything that he did. So let's analyze the predicament that I was in. I had read the situation and I was pretty sure how it would turn out, but I let my need to be a good friend supersede my need to keep the friendship. What I really should have done is I should have just backed off and let him go through the big mistake, that he needed to make, all while hoping that he would eventually come to his senses on his own. And it's a real shame, right? I went into my advice for him with good intentions. I wanted to save my friend from making the very big mistake, quite possibly the biggest mistake that a person can possibly make. Because marriage is not something that you take lightly. It is something that is till death do us part, because now you're legally and financially bound to another person. And if the marriage ends in divorce, which likely it will, then the financial ramifications for that are felt for a very long time, if not for the rest of a person's life. Now let's look at an example from the book, The 48 Laws of Power. But before we do that, I need your help with YouTube's algorithm. Please smash that thumbs up button below, because if you don't, then YouTube is simply not going to show this video to anyone else. Please also subscribe and click on the bell icon, because if you don't, then again, YouTube won't let you know when a new video is uploaded. And if you want to transform yourself from a lamb to a lion, then check out my course pinned in the top comment below. I will teach you the tools that you need for success, but you have to actually step up and put the work in on yourself. This course is not for everyone, because the majority of the population are sheep, but for those very few of us who want to walk the path of a lion, this is the course for you. Okay, so once upon a time, in ancient Rome, there was a great Roman hero named Gnaeus Marcius. He was a great military genius. He was kind of like Gerard Butler from 300, except he would win every one of his battles, and he'd always come back home. A real man of men, with bearings of steel, doing really manly things, saving women and children from three-headed hydras, carrying grown men to safety from burning buildings, and just basically being a man. People loved him. All the men wanted to be just like him when they grew up, and all the women wanted to be with him. And then, for some odd reason, Marcius wanted to enter politics. He ran for the high position of consul. He knew that the people loved him, and he knew that he would win. So he decided that he would brag about himself a little bit. He talked about how great and amazing he was. He made dumb jokes that only appealed to the super wealthy, and he made a complete clown of himself. The common people didn't really appreciate his arrogance, and they started talking. Word spread, and unfortunately, there were enough of the common people to vote against Marcius that he lost the election. He was fuming, and he promised that he would take his revenge on the common folk. Sometime later, there was a food shortage, until finally there was hope. A large shipment of grain was to be distributed to the people for free. Marcius appeared on the Senate floor, and he made a spectacle. He suggested that the grain not be distributed to the common people, that only the rich should decide what to do with the food supply, and that they should distribute it as they see fit to who they see fit. News spread, and the people got angry. The Senate started to fear that riots would break out, and so they decided to go with their original plan to distribute the grain for free, equally, among all of the people. And the people were happy with this decision, but they demanded that Marcius come out and apologize for his arrogance. So Marcius decided that he would give a speech. Marcius came out, fierce like a bear in heat. He wanted the people to feel his wrath. He hurled insults. He was blunt with his words, and as always, extremely arrogant. The more he spoke, the worse the situation became. Now the people wanted to see him put to death, and the Senate agreed. But right before he was going to be thrown off a cliff head first, the Roman nobleman suggested that he be banished instead, since, he did occasionally save Rome in a couple of big battles, and so at the very least, his life should probably be spared. The townsfolk agreed, and the city partied like it was 1999 BC. And the once loved hero left the city that he had saved on multiple occasions, never to be seen again. So let's analyze the tragic story of this great and amazing hero. Before he had entered politics, he was winning battles and keeping his mouth shut. The people knew little of the actual man, and so he became a legend. But all of the power that he enjoyed vanished when he opened his foolish mouth. Remember this law: always say less than necessary. So the lesson here is that if we cannot control our words, then we do not deserve respect. Learn to be calm and say less than necessary, even when it's hard. Do not stick your nose where it does not belong. Always say less than necessary. Power is a game of appearance, and when you say less than necessary, you automatically appear to be greater and more powerful than you actually are. So tell me, dear viewer, what have you said that you ended up regretting? let me know in the comments below. I appreciate and respond to every single comment I receive from all of my true fans. If you like my YouTube content and you want more, then please check out my Patreon link pinned in the top comment below. I upload new videos every Friday for my Patreon subscribers that go deeper into my life regarding the 48 laws. These videos are a bit more raw and untamed than my usual videos here on YouTube. And if you're a patron of mine already, then I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because it's people like you that truly make all of this possible in the first place. I hope you enjoyed this animated video on Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. Law number 4, always say less than necessary. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.